Okay, so I got a new toy at Michael's. I got these bottles that are for paint drizzles, I guess is what the packaging says, but they have kind of these comb squirt tops on top. So I'm going to try using these for a fall themed paint pour. So these are the colors that I'm going to use. I did some nice warm oranges and yellows and coppers. I'm going to take each of these and mix in some Floetrol. You can also use water, but you need to kind of thin out your paint so that it's more pourable. It's too thick when it's originally coming out of the bottle. So you mix in some of this Floetrol, or you can also use water. I'm doing them each in a separate little disposable cup, and then we'll come together and pour them into the main bottle here. So I picked, I believe, 2 kind of solid colors and 3 that have a metallic to them. So that dark brown kind of copper color had metallic, and then there's a light yellow that's metallic. This one right here has a pearl color. It's really pretty. I originally got that for like sunshine in the summer, but now we're heading into fall and I thought it would work with this design. And then I'm going to do this really pretty gold that I have from FolkArt. And then with the solid colors that aren't metallic, I'm going to add some of this acrylic pour oil. And what this does is it helps create those cells that you see where the paint kind of separates once you do the pour. So I'm going to add those to the solid colors. And now I'm going to take each of these colors and just layer them in to the bottle. I think I got 2 layers of each color in the bottle. So just one at a time, so they're going in on top of each other and layering until I have no more paint left in my mixing cups. And then I'm just going to put the top onto this bottle, the one that has the little kind of comb squeezy top. I'm going to screw that onto the top, and then I'm going to get my area ready. So I have some of these aluminum pans left over from our graduation party in June, so I'm going to put that down to make my mess cleanup easy. I'm going to put my wire rack on top and then start laying my rocks on top. Now let's see how this thing works. Normally when I do a paint pour, I go back and forth to kind of create some design with the colors. So I'm kind of experimenting with that. It looks like mostly gold comes out, but you can kind of see how the little individual squirty things give it some dimension as it's coming out. And I couldn't figure out what this bottle reminded me of for the longest time. I was like, it looks like something I've seen before. And I realized what it was. It's from, if you have ever dyed your hair with like a box dye from the store, that's what the bottle looks like. It reminds me of that because it has kind of a comb. But you can see here, now that the red's coming out, look at how pretty that is. And the cells are also kind of starting to come out a little bit. And that one created a really cool design. So I'm gonna take a straw and I'm gonna blow a little bit onto the rocks. And this is kind of a dual purpose. So it helps create more designs because you can kind of move the paint around, but it also, I use it to help make sure the paint gets down around the edges of the rocks. So, you know, it's kind of dripping down over the sides, and you can kind of blow and make sure that you have good coverage coming down around those edges on the side. So you can see me doing it here, kind of making sure that rock is completely covered and everything is dripping into the pan. So one thing I did notice, and I don't know if I can completely blame this on the bottle or if it was that I mixed my paint too thin, is that the colors kind of got mottled together. There wasn't as much clarity between the layers of colors. So it definitely started out, the earlier rocks, there was more gold coming out of the bottle, and then they got more red as I got towards the bottom, but there was not as much clear lines, I guess, between the colors. And that could be a combination of me mixing the paint too thin, and then I was also picking the bottle up, putting it down, picking the bottle up, putting it down, and I think that could have been aiding in the paints almost mixing together. So that's kind of one of the possible downsides of this. The comb is kind of cool. You can drag it through the paint. You saw me do it a little bit there. I think I need to experiment more and maybe not have quite as thin of paint. I haven't done a paint pour in a while, so I am out of practice with getting the right consistency down. But my initial gut reaction was, it's okay if you want to have one, but honestly, I get just as cool results coming out of a cup, and almost that you could control it more and make sure that it's not mixing together as much. So you can see in this one, there's kind of, you know, the lines between the colors are pretty tiny. It's not as obvious. I tried pulling the comb through it just to see what kind of effect that would do. So it's got some pluses and minuses. I don't remember how much I paid for it. I want to say that it was probably $9.99 and I might have had a coupon. A lot of the stuff I get at Michael's, I never pay full price because I have coupons for it. So just something to think about. It is a cool tool. It does keep it contained. That was nice. But I think it's not necessary if you want to do paint pours. So you don't have to have this, but it could be a cool tool to have on your paint bench if you're going to do paint pours. I do still love the color combination that I picked, but I'm just realizing now as I'm watching this playback, what got lost in this was the yellow. You can see the gold and the reds and kind of the copper, but the yellow and that dark brown kind of got lost in this mix. So that's interesting. But this was my favorite one to watch because you can really see it spread at the end. That's the fun of a paint pour. So now let's take a peek at how these dried overnight. I let them dry overnight because paint pours are kind of thick. You can definitely see how it started out gold and then turned more red as I got towards the end of the bottle. Some really pretty designs here though. I think they came out really good. I did stick my finger in this one last night, so I've got an annoying little spot there that I'll cover up with something. And this rock was what I did with the end of the bottle. So you can tell that that paint really mixed together and kind of created just about a solid color with some gold highlights in it. So that mixing of the paint is a bummer, and I can't quite blame the bottle or myself, probably a little bit of both. These drip marks on the back, however, they're a little bit rough. You can feel them, and I'll usually come back and paint over this. This one didn't get full coverage on the side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in with my nail drill and I'm gonna smooth out the little knobby bumps from the drips so that it's for the majority smooth on the back. You can and you could do this with a file, you could do it with a nail buffer. I just have come to love my little nail drill for this kind of stuff. It does the work for me, so my wrist doesn't have to get tired. So I'm just gonna get off those little knobby bumps. It's really easy to do with the nail drill. I will link the nail drill in the description if you want one. And then I'm gonna take gold, because this one was mostly a gold rock, and just kind of fill in the back where I can write my little messages on the back. And then you can do all kinds of things with these rocks. You can write on them. This one, I'm gonna draw some leaves and hello fall, just because that was the idea. It was a fall pour. It was a fairly solidish gold rock, so I thought it might show nicely on here. Another great thing you can do with these is word rocks. That's probably my favorite thing to do with paint pours is words or quotes. So on this darker red one, I'm gonna write with a black Posca PC1MR, and look at how pretty that is. If you wanna help me finish the rest of these, I'm gonna go live tomorrow. Bring your favorite words and quotes and we'll finish them together. Thanks so much for stopping by to watch, and I'll see you next time. Take care.